You can either buy this for 230 platinum, get it as part of the Embolist collection, or the blueprint for it is inside of the Biolab, which is inside of dojos. And the Biolab, depends, sometimes people do call it the Infected Lab, but its actual name is Biolab, but it's the room with all the infected things in it. This thing looks like it could be promising, because it seems to have more damage than the hate does. Comparing it to things like the Ether Reaper is pretty much a waste of time because that does hardly any damage, but does swing faster than this thing does. The hate seems to be the closest thing to it, doing 70 damage, but it does do a lot less status, but does a lot more crit. But of course at the same time, does have a slower attack speed. The Reaper Prime though, that seems to still do more damage. It's about the same damage wise, but does more crit and does have a higher attack speed. So this kind of falls into the realm of the Reaper Prime style stats, but it's purely elemental and does not have any physical damage on it at all. It's 75% crit. My favourite part of this is the attack charges of this eye. They unleash a wave of acid that, well, the best way to put it is it's corrosive sludge, which I'm really looking forward to actually giving a good goddamn try. Please be. Oh, nice. So it's got a V, probably need 2 dashes and another V on this when it comes to stances, of course. It's got to be Stalking Fan simply because it matches the polarity this thing has already. Honestly, really tried to hate this weapon, but there's something about being able to throw that goo that just comes in, I wouldn't say as handy as it is just fun, because you can kill them at range and kind of set up traps for them when they come through doors. And it doesn't always stun them, so they'll just keep running through it, and it's, I don't know, it's a lot more fun than I honestly thought it was going to be, and really more fun than I hoped it was going to be. Biggest problem with this thing though, I did have to put another former in it, so not just the 2 dashes for the elemental stuff, but I had to put a V on for the primed fury of this, because its attack speed on normal was just too slow, so I did have to put one in to make this thing faster. But it does do a nice amount of damage, and I did stick with purely corrosive damage on it. Just simply because, well, it's a corrosive weapon. God damn it. Go take the light off. I want that. I really wanted to hate this weapon because having to throw the goo out all the time to me seemed like nothing more than another silly gimmick to try and make weapons stronger than they are. But this was actually fun, and I've just realised that Scream means he's here. How the hell am I supposed to take on that thing? Ah, oh, goddamn, with a melee weapon. Well, this should be fun. But I really wanted to hate this thing, and it turned out to be quite a fun, effective weapon. Because the corrosive in itself is really, really, really handy. For you're not doing it. You're not doing it. I'm not having it. Suck my corrosive goop. Nope, I died. But as I said before, the goop on the floor, though it is effective at slowing down enemies and useful for putting in traps, that's pretty much as good as it gets. It's not really that good for dealing damage, though it did just take out that level 100. I think I've hit him a few times, but you can see it's basically just good for kind of stuttering them in place, because the damage of it isn't that often and doesn't really do that much. But once you actually start swinging the weapon, that's where everything starts to basically change. And this is why I dumped out one of the damage mods in favour of... wait, was that everyone? No way, that was 20 enemies? They're hiding from us? I did dump out some of the damage mods in favour of putting in Primed Fury, simply because it just attacks faster and it's much more useful. These guys are level 100, and adding in body count and Weeping Wounds because it's a status weapon, not a crit weapon, this thing's actually taking out the level 100s pretty effectively. The reason I've gone for these guys is because they don't shoot. They come in and melee you, but they do deal a nice amount of damage. But with the build-up of the combo counter, obviously over time, it will start to do more damage, which is loads of fun. That's 20 level 100s gone. This weapon is starting to become much better the more I use it. Dumping out one of the damage mods, so I just went for the 2 damage mods. Come on. And this thing is actually a pretty decent weapon. I did put in Primed Fury, Weeping Wounds, and Body Count, but I did keep it also as purely corrosive damage, just simply because it does that puddle of corrosive, and I can't believe I just ran off the end. I kind of wish there was a wall there sometimes. This was definitely one of those weapons that turned out to be better in real life than it was on paper, because it's... I mean, okay, if I did change up the build a little bit, I would definitely go for a little bit more damage rather than attack speed, but honestly, it's not needed that much because, well, it's just taking them out quite nicely. It seems to be better against Grineer than any other of the factions because it is purely corrosive damage, but it does work against all of them eventually. Come on. And last one. Ha. I really don't regret dumping just a little bit of the damage, like the dual stat mods that I did want to put in here, in favour of putting in Primed Fury, simply because this thing is actually doing a really nice amount of damage, and I don't see how this guy turned into an... It's supposed to be that one. Then they don't put a bubble up. But its damage is pretty nice. I'm really starting to like the animation. You can kind of throw the goo pretty far, but its range does seem limited. And I just one-shotted a level 100 heavy Grineer with this. Stun it with the goo attack, and then just ran up and performed a finisher. And yeah, that's why I'm really growing to like this thing. And its animation, you'll see, you can barely make it out, but when they spin it round and it goes into the screen like that, the blades come together. And it's pretty well done. I am liking this a lot. But is it really worth it? Well, it kind of is, if you like running status builds.